People in the whole village still talk about what happened to Amara and her husband. They say it was the night the sky refused to sleep, and the moon hid behind the clouds as if it was afraid. Amara herself never knew the truth until one silent night changed everything she believed about love, family, and the man she trusted with her whole life. What she saw that night made her heart shake like dry leaves in the wind, and only the strong can listen to this story without their eyes becoming wet. Stay with me till the very end so you will understand what truly happened to her, and please like, subscribe and share so more people can hear this story. Amara was a gentle young woman who lived in a quiet village close to the thick forest. She had a soft smile that made even angry people feel peace. Every morning she fetched water from the stream, and every evening she sat outside her hut to watch the sunset. Her life was simple, and she liked it that way. She never asked the world for too much. All she wanted was joy, peace, and a little love. One day, while returning from the stream, she met a young man named Chike. He was tall, quiet, and his eyes looked like someone who carried many secrets inside him. He smiled at Amara, and something inside her chest warmed like fire close to the cooking pot. She greeted him and he greeted her back, but the way he said her name made her heart beat fast, like drumsticks hitting a talking drum. She did not know who he was, but she felt safe near him. Chike began to visit her home every evening. He helped her sweep the compound. He helped her pick firewood. He helped her carry heavy things even when she told him she could do it herself. The whole village soon noticed the way Chike looked at her. Some people said he came from a far place. Others said he had no family. But nobody truly knew where he came from. Amara did not mind. All she saw was a good man who treated her gently like a mother holds a newborn baby. After some months, Chike asked her to marry him. Amara said yes with a happy heart. The whole village danced and sang as they became husband and wife. Amara believed her joy was complete. She believed she had found the man her spirit had waited for since childhood. What she did not know was that the night would soon open a truth she was not ready to carry. Life with Chike was sweet at first. He woke early to split firewood, and he always brought her fresh fruits from the forest. Sometimes he returned with strange fruits she had never seen before, fruits that glowed lightly in the dark. When she asked where he got them, he simply smiled and said, "From the place only my feet know." She laughed, thinking he was joking, but something about his smile always felt different. Chike never allowed Amara to follow him to the forest. Each time she tried, he stopped her with a soft touch and said, "Amara, the forest is deep. Let me go alone." His voice sounded calm, but there was something in his eyes she could not understand. She wondered why he never wanted her to see where he went every night after she slept. But because she loved him, she pushed the questions away. One night, Amara woke up and stretched her hand beside her on the mat. Chike was not there. The night outside was too quiet, and her heart suddenly felt small. She rose, lit a tiny lamp and walked outside. The moon shone bright like someone cleaned it with palm oil. She looked around and saw nothing. Chike was gone. She waited for him, but he returned at dawn, his body wet, his eyes red and tired. He told her he went to get something for her, but he held nothing in his hands. People in the village began to whisper. They said they heard strange sounds in the forest at night. Some said they saw a shape that looked like a man and an animal walking together. Anytime Amara heard those stories, her heart beat fast, but she refused to let fear sit in her chest. She believed Chike could never hide anything from her. She believed everything was normal. But even love cannot hide the truth forever. Days passed, and the strange things in her home became more and more. At night, Chike sometimes breathed like two people breathing together. Sometimes his shadow looked bigger than his body when the lamp shone on him. Amara tried to tell herself it was her eyes playing tricks, but deep inside she knew something was wrong. She loved Chike, but she was afraid to ask questions that might break her heart. One morning, she woke and found strange marks on the ground near their door. The marks looked like footprints, but they were too large to be human. She called Chike to come and look, but when he came out, the marks were gone as if the earth swallowed them. She blinked and rubbed her eyes. She knew she saw them. She felt the ground shake a little that morning, but Chike told her she was imagining things. The animals in the village began acting strange around Chike. Dogs barked at him whenever he passed. Goats ran away from him. Even the chickens spread their wings and refused to let him come close. Amara noticed everything, but she told herself that fear was making her see nonsense. She did not want to believe the man she loved could be something else. She wanted to keep her love strong. One night, Chike came home late again. His clothes were wet and muddy. His hands were shaking. Amara tried to touch him, but he stepped back. His eyes glowed softly like a candle burning inside water. She gasped, but he turned his face away. She knew that moment that something inside him was not human. But she also knew the truth would break everything she had built with him. Amara could no longer sleep well. Every night she listened to the sounds outside their hut, hoping Chike would not leave again. She wanted to follow him, but fear held her mouth tightly. She prayed silently for light to enter his heart and remove whatever darkness he carried. Even though she sensed danger, love made her stay close to him, hoping things would return to normal. One cold night, thunder struck without rain. The winds roared like angry spirits. Chike stood at the doorway staring into the forest as if something inside was calling him. Amara held his hand, but his hand felt too cold, too strong, too heavy. He told her to sleep, but his voice sounded like two voices speaking at once. She stepped back in fear, but he did not look at her again. That night, Amara made a decision. She would follow him secretly and see where he went. Her heart beat hard as she waited for him to leave. She stayed awake, listening. When she finally heard his steps, she rose quietly and followed him barefoot into the dark forest. The moon hid behind the thick clouds. The trees whispered like they knew a big secret. As she walked deeper into the forest, she heard strange sounds. She saw shadows moving around her. She wanted to turn back, but she forced herself to keep going. She loved Chike, and she needed to know who or what he truly was. She followed the sound of breaking branches until she reached a clearing. There she stopped, because what she saw made her whole body freeze. In the middle of the clearing, she saw Chike kneeling on the ground. His back was to her, but his body was shaking like someone fighting a spirit inside. She wanted to call his name, Beauty. Her voice refused to come out. Then to get why he lifted his head, and Amara saw something that made her heart fall to the earth like a stone falling from a tree. Chike's skin was changing. It rippled like water touched by the wind. His arms stretched, then folded again. His shadow grew large, spreading across the ground. Something inside him was trying to come out. Amara covered her mouth with her hand, trying not to scream. She stepped back slowly, but her foot snapped a dry stick. Chike turned. His eyes glowed bright like two burning fires. His face looked like Chike, but something else was mixed inside it. Something odd, wild and not human. Amara fell to her knees, her breath shaking. Chike saw her, and his body stopped changing. His shadow shrunk slowly back to normal. He covered his face and cried out in pain. Amara crawled toward him with tears in her eyes. She touched his hand, even though fear almost broke her bones. Chike shook his head and told her to leave, but she refused. She told him she loved him no matter what. Her voice was small but strong. Chike finally looked at her, and in his eyes she saw sadness deeper than the river's bottom. Chike told her the truth. He was born half human and half spirit from the old forest. His mother was human, but his father was a spirit who fell in love with her. When Chike was born, he looked human, but sometimes the spirit side came out. That was why he never slept well. That was why he hid in the forest at night. He loved Amara too much to tell her, because he feared she would run away. Amara listened, her hands shaking. She felt pain for him. She felt pain for herself. She loved him deeply, but now she understood the strange things she saw around him. She told him she would not leave him. Chike cried, telling her he was dangerous. He said the spirit inside him was growing stronger and one day it might take full control. Amara held his face with both hands. She told him love can calm even the strongest spirit. Chike looked at her with soft eyes, but fear still lived inside him. He told her that if she stayed, her life might not be safe. Amara wiped his tears and reminded him that love does not run, even when danger walks close. Chike slowly stood up and promised to fight the spirit inside him for her sake. But he told her something else. The spirit world was calling him stronger each day. And one night soon, he might not be able to return to her again. Amara's heart broke, but she held him tight, praying that love would win. Days passed painfully. Chike tried to stay by Amara's side. He avoided the forest. He refused to go out at night. But the spirit inside him grew restless. Sometimes he shook like a drum. Sometimes fire flashed inside his eyes. Amara stayed close, holding him, calming him, praying day and night for him to stay human. The villagers began to sense something strange. They saw Chike looking weak, tired and lost. Some whispered that he was cursed. Some said Amara should leave him. But Amara refused. She protected him, telling everyone he was just sick. She cooked for him, cared for him, and kept him warm even when his body felt as cold as river stones. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, Chike held Amara's hand and told her the moment he feared had come. The spirit world was calling him too strongly. He said a doorway would open in the forest that night, and he might not be able to stop himself from going through it. Amara cried, begging him not to leave her. But Chike only looked at her with love and sorrow. That night, the wind grew wild. The forest roared loudly. Chike stood at the edge of the forest trembling. Amara held him tightly, refusing to let go. But the air around him changed. Light swirled around him like spinning fireflies. The spirit inside him rose, and his body began to glow. Amara screamed his name, but her voice was swallowed by the wind. Chike stepped into the forest, tears streaming down his face. Amara ran after him, but the swirling light pushed her back. She watched helplessly as Chike walked deeper and deeper until his body slowly faded like smoke disappearing into the sky. Amara cried until her chest hurt. She reached out her hand, but there was nothing to hold anymore. When the light finally died, the forest became quiet. Too quiet. Amara fell to the ground, shaking with pain. Her heart felt empty like a broken calabash. She whispered Chike's name again and again, hoping he would return. But he did not. The night swallowed him completely, and she was left alone with her tears. The next morning, she returned to the village slowly. People saw her and knew something terrible had happened. Amara could not speak for days. She sat alone, holding the memories of the man she loved. Even though he was gone, she believed his love stayed with her like a soft wind touching her cheek. Every night, she looked at the forest, hoping to see him again. Some nights she felt a gentle breeze that smelled like him. Some nights she heard his voice calling her softly. She knew he still loved her from wherever he was. And even though her heart would never be the same, she was grateful that she knew a love so deep that even the spirit world could not erase it. The villagers still tell this story today. They say true love does not end. They say Amara's heart was strong enough to love both a man and the spirit inside him. And they say that on quiet nights, when the moon hides its face, you can sometimes hear Chike whispering Amara's name through the trees. If you've watched up to this stage, please subscribe to our channel, like and share so that more people can see this story. Tell us what you think about this story on the comment section. Thanks.